Welcome back to Drop the Box. Today we're going to be doing front discs and pads on this Astra H. What we're going to do now is we're going to extract the old brake fluid from the reservoir, and we're going to do this for two reasons. One, because we're going to change the brake fluid anyway, and two, when we push the pistons back on the brake calipers, that is going to push the fluid that's in the brake calipers back to the reservoir, and that can overflow and cause a bit of a mess. So it's always best to take a little bit out before we start. First thing we need to remove is the spring clip. So you do that by levering it over that first lip there and that one down there. Once they're over them two lips, if you press in the middle and then stick your screwdriver down there and just prise it out. And then the same with the top. Next thing you need to do is come around the back of the caliper. You need to take two dust covers off the back of the caliper. So that's one. That's two. Now you need to take the slide-in bolts out. And to do this, you're going to need a 7mm Allen key. With these slide-in bolts, you're going to want to take them all the way out, and we'll clean them up in a bit. And now what we need to do is we need to slightly prise the piston back so we can take the caliper off. So with a screwdriver, stick it in there and slowly work it towards you, and same on the bottom, and then the caliper will come free. Take the old pad out of the back, and then we're gonna take our bungee cord, put it over the coil spring, through the caliper, and back onto the spring, just so that holds the caliper in a safe position out of the way and we're not putting any weight on the brake lines. Now with the pads removed, we need to remove the pad carrier. So that's two bolts, which is one there, and you're going to need an 18mm socket to do these, and I would imagine you would need a pry bar because these are normally pretty tight. And remove the carrier. Once you remove the locating bolt, the disc will just pop off like that. So that's everything stripped down. The next thing we need to do now is clean everything up before we reassemble everything. So the first thing we need to do is clean all the rust off this hub so that the hub surface is nice and flat, ready for the new disc. So I like to use a little wire brush on the end of the drill and put it on like so. And it does a pretty good job. The next thing we need to clean is the caliper carrier. And in particular, these grooves here, where the brake pad will sit, we need to get them nice and clean so that the brake pad can slide back and forth with no resistance. Now that's clean, we set that one side and grab these two slide-in bolts that we took out of the caliper earlier. As you can see, They're a bit mucky there. So you need to get a bit of army cloth and just clean these sliders up so they get their shine back. Just a little bit there. But you get the idea. What we need to do now is we need to push the caliper piston back into the home position so we can fit the new disc and pad in between it. You can use like a G-clamp or some sort of grips just to push it back, but as I've got this wind back tool, I just like to use this because it's just easier. This wind back tool is for rear brakes, but it does have a little adapter there for front brakes as well. So you just wind it up and it'll push the piston back. Now that the piston's pushed fully back, the last thing we need to do with the caliper is run a wire brush over it, give it a good clean up, get rid of all that crud that's been there for the last couple of thousand miles before we reassemble everything. So now you want to fit the new disc onto the hub, and make sure the holes line up, and then put the securing screw back in. Now we're going to refit the caliper carrier, and don't forget to put a little bit of blue Loctite onto the bolts. The torque setting for these bolts is 100 Newton meters. Now what we're going to do is these slide-in bolts that we took out of the caliper earlier, put a little bit of grease around the end and place them back into the caliper. Take our brake pad with this clip, and this clips in to the piston of the caliper, and as you can see I've put a little bit of anti-seize grease on either end of the pad where it's going to slide in the carrier. So if we put that in first and clip it in, like so, and we get the outer pad and just slide that into position, and this caliper will just simply slide over the pads like that. Now we need to go around the back to our bolts, and then you're going to want to torque them to 28 Newton meters. And you just put the spring clip back into position then. Make sure the clip goes past that lug there and the lug on the bottom, so that holds everything in place. So that's the whole rebuild complete. So now just go through all the checks, make sure you've torqued all the bolts, make sure you put the dust covers back on, make sure you've got the spring clip back on, just make sure everything is as it should be. And the last thing we've got to do is bleed the brakes. For this you will need a 9mm spanner. I'm not going to go through how to do this because there's already a video on the channel on how to do that. So what I will do is leave a link to that video in the description. The last things to do are torque your wheels, check and top up your brake fluid, and pump that foot brake one more time just to be sure. And well, that's it. I hope you found the video helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And if there's anything you want to see in the future, please leave a little comment and I'm sure we can do something for you. Please stay tuned. There's plenty more content coming up and we'll see you again. Thanks.